Decals, how to make your own, part 3. Hi, welcome back to St Blazy Model World. So welcome to the third part in this series on how to make your own decals. If you missed part 1 and part 2, there'll be a link to part 1 on the screen right now, top right hand corner. While you're watching this video and the others, please don't forget to subscribe. Remember to give this video a like, and here we go. So in part 1, we looked at the theory of making decals, ideas, why you would want to make your own rather than purchase decals. And I explained in that you would need some computer skills, and so it is. And in part 2, we looked at setting up your decals, how to create your computer files. And there is no getting away from it. That is the most labour intensive and least interesting part of the process. But once you've made those decals and you've done your test prints and you're happy with the sizes and the colours and everything else, you've got those files to use for life. So in part 3 now, I just want to talk a little bit about what to do before you start going into production, before you start printing off loads and loads of decals ready to use, or so you hope, only to find that you encounter some problems. Okay, let's get into it. So first of all, in part 2, it may have come as a bit of a shock to you that your home printers will not print white ink. And if you do wish to have white decals, unless you're prepared to spend a lot of money, it's probably worth buying them. If you are going to go ahead and produce your own decals at home, first of all, once you've set up your files and you're happy with your test prints, you need to have the right paper. Currently at my home, I'm running a LaserJet printer, and to that end I have clear LaserJet decal water slide paper and white laser water slide decal paper. White refers to the background. These will print with a white background, and clear, of course, there's no background. Now, when you go to purchase your decal paper, if you use at home an inkjet printer, you must purchase the inkjet paper, not laser. There is a difference. There is a difference in the paper, but also, and most importantly, there is a difference in how inkjet printers and laser printers work. I'm not going to bore you with the technical aspects of that, but it does make a difference. The other important thing to note here is that the white laser decal paper and the clear laser decal paper are in appearance exactly the same. And the same would apply if you'd purchase the inkjet variety. And so it pays to keep your paper in the envelopes that they were shipped in until you plan to use them. Otherwise, you could quite easily print off a set of decals on clear paper when you had intended to produce those decals on the white laser printer paper. And on some of the papers that you purchase, you will find watermarked on the back of them clear and white background respectively. But these papers that I'm using at the moment, as you can clearly see, have none of that watermarking, and so it's very easy to get them mixed up. And purely from a cost point of view, not to mention the disappointment, that's something that you'd want to avoid. If you have an inkjet printer at home, you must purchase, along with your decal paper, a can of Decal Fix. This is a spray can, and they're available in a matte, a silk or a gloss finish, costing round about £10 per can. The reason for that is that if you do not use this product on your decal sheets, once you dip them into the warm water ready to remove your decal, you'll find that the ink disappears off of the paper into the water, never to be seen again, and what you hoped was a perfect decal ends up as being nothing at all but a blank or a messy sheet of paper, and you definitely don't want to put that on your models. Once you've set up your templates, of course, and you're happy with them, you can go ahead and print. But here's a word of advice. It pays to print at least a whole page, or absolute minimum half a page, so you're getting A5 size in one go, because otherwise you'll find yourself wasting decal paper when you don't really need to. Test, test, test. The decals that you're looking at are about right. The blue and the red on the top couple of rows and on the bottom row, they're spot on. I'm happy with those. The Cornish Fairways logo that you can see here is actually green, and it's probably a bit more green than it is appearing on this screen right now. I happen to know something about these logos. They are absolutely spot on, and that is because I happen to work for the company at the time. I'm going back to the early 80s now, and of course printing techniques were not then what they are now, and the colour matches weren't very good. So if you are replicating logos and adverts and so on and so forth, it's worth asking people, if you know anybody who was there at the time, is the colour about right? Is this how it really was? Often we strive for perfection, but perfection didn't really always exist. Certainly in my industry, in the bus and coach industry, and I'm sure that's true of many other areas as well. Okay, it's time for some hints and tips when it comes to applying your decals to your models. I'm going to do this as a written thing. You can pause the screen, read it, take a screenshot, make notes, whatever you wish. But all of the things that are on the screen now are very, very useful hints, and hopefully they'll stop you making some of the mistakes that I made when I first started making my own decals many years ago. Once your decals are in place and they're set, you've allowed them a short period of time to dry, I like to protect them a little bit further by giving them a thin coat of decal fix over the top. There are lots of different makers of this stuff on the market. This one's a Vallejo product, and it's an acrylic product as well, which I like, and it just gives your decals an extra layer of protection. And that's especially useful if you're transporting your models around to railway exhibitions or any sort of events like that. Well, I do believe that kind of wraps it up for this mini-series on how to make your own decals. I do hope you found it interesting. My advice is test everything on plain paper before you commit to printing on decal paper. Make sure that you've bought the right kind of decal paper for the printer that you have, and just apply a little bit of thought and preparation to what you're doing. I hope you found this series and this particular video enjoyable. Hasn't been an easy one to make, but nonetheless, I hope it's informative. If you have any questions, by all means, do leave them in the comments section below. I don't get that many comments and questions, so it's well, not through the channel anyway, so it isn't too hard to keep up. So please ask away any questions. Give this video a like. Remember to subscribe, and we'll see you very, very soon on St. Blazing Model World. Bye for now.